Are you out of your mind considering a trip after turning 70? I know that sounds harsh, but sometimes we need a wake-up call. Travel can be thrilling. New faces, exotic cuisine, and memories waiting to be made. But let's face it, as our bodies change with age, the carefree getaways of our 30s or 40s morph into risky ventures that can threaten both our health and our wallets. In 2023, I've seen more seniors than ever trying to squeeze in one last dream vacation, only to come home with unexpected hospital bills, shattered bones, or financial nightmares. So, if you're toying with the idea of planning a big trip, keep watching. Because in this script, I'm going to reveal the 7 hidden travel risks seniors over 70 absolutely cannot ignore. Some of these might sound obvious at first, while others will shock you. By the time we reach the last risk, you'll understand exactly why a simple vacation can turn into a long-term setback. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from enjoying the world, far from it. I'm here because I care about your well-being, your finances, and your peace of mind. If you still plan to travel, you'll learn what to look out for and how to safeguard yourself. But if you decide it's not worth it, that's okay too. Sometimes knowing the dangers ahead is the biggest favor you can do for yourself. Let's dive in, starting with one of the most overlooked hazards lurking in plain sight. 1. Unexpected chronic condition flare-ups. Everyone talks about sudden heart attacks or strokes while traveling, but what about the chronic conditions that slowly wear us down day by day? Conditions like arthritis, diabetes, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, and even mild heart disease can become ticking time bombs when we're out of our usual routine. Most of us manage these ailments perfectly well at home. We have our pharmacy down the street, our doctor on speed dial, our daily medication routine neatly laid out on the kitchen counter. But once you're in a hotel room thousands of miles away, it's a whole different story. Take my friend Elaine, age 73, who lives with type 2 diabetes. She's diligent about her dietary routine at home: low sugar, balanced carbs, consistent meal times. On a trip to a Caribbean island last winter, she let that routine slip. Fresh tropical fruit buffets, exotic desserts, and a packed schedule made her forget to check her glucose as often as she should. By day 4, she felt dizzy, nauseated, and struggled to walk without assistance. A trip to a local clinic revealed dangerously high blood sugar levels. She spent the rest of her vacation in a hospital room, terrified about how close she'd come to real disaster. Recent data from 2022 to 2023 shows a rising trend in emergency hospital admissions for seniors with chronic conditions who travel internationally. Doctors point out that disrupted eating and sleeping schedules combined with unfamiliar climates and stress can easily worsen conditions like hypertension or asthma. And once you're hospitalized overseas, you're at the mercy of a healthcare system that may not be prepared for all your medical complexities. Want a tip? If you choose to travel with a chronic condition, have a conversation with your healthcare provider about your exact itinerary. Pack extra medication, enough to last at least a week beyond your planned return date. Research local clinics, pharmacies, and even telemedicine options at your destination, so you're not scrambling in an emergency. Because once those daily rhythms are broken, a flare-up can be more vicious than you ever imagined. 2. Infections hiding where you least expect. We all know that air travel exposes us to a sea of germs. You're packed into a cabin with hundreds of other passengers, recycling the same air for hours. However, infections lurk in less obvious places too: hotel bathrooms, communal swimming pools, even those fancy buffet tongs that everyone touches. In your younger days, you might have brushed off a mild stomach bug or a random sinus infection. But after 70, our immune systems don't bounce back the way they once did. By now, almost everyone has heard of antibiotic-resistant bacteria like MRSA, which can spread through simple skin contact in public places. According to a 2023 report from infectious disease specialists, seniors who travel have a disproportionately higher risk of serious complications from common infections like influenza or E. coli, compared to younger tourists. If you have a weaker immune system, a trivial infection can spiral into pneumonia or a nasty gastrointestinal episode requiring IV fluids. One alarming story I recall is from Marvin, a spry 76-year-old who was excited to go on a European river cruise. He believed that because cruises are a bit more controlled, they'd be safer than flying to multiple cities. What he didn't consider is that once norovirus takes hold in a cruise ship, it can spread like wildfire. Just 2 days into his journey, Marvin and his wife both fell ill. Violent vomiting, dehydration, the works. The ship's medical team did their best, but Marvin's recovery was painfully slow. He missed the majority of the activities he'd planned for months. Want to reduce your risk? Carry disinfectant wipes and hand sanitizer. Clean frequently touched surfaces like doorknobs, tray tables, and phone screens. Avoid raw or undercooked foods, and be meticulous about washing produce. If the water quality in your destination is questionable, stick to bottled water, even for brushing your teeth. If you're prone to respiratory infections, consider wearing a mask in crowded spaces, especially during flu season. It sounds tedious, but a few small steps can spare you a world of misery. If you find these insights helpful so far, leave a quick note, perhaps type, "I hear you," in the comments. It keeps me motivated and helps me gauge if this information is truly resonating with you. 3. Exacerbated jet lag and exhaustion. Jet lag. It's not just that mild annoyance that makes you groggy for a day or two. After 70, jet lag can hit like a sledgehammer, leading to prolonged disorientation, mood swings, and even heart palpitations for those with underlying cardiac issues. Younger folks may adjust within a couple of days, but seniors often wrestle with disrupted sleep patterns for up to a week or more. That means your 10-day vacation can evaporate in a haze of fatigue and confusion before you've seen half the sights on your to-do list. What makes it worse is the tendency to push through the tiredness. "I'm only here for a limited time, so I need to see it all," you might tell yourself. But the body has limits, and ignoring them has real consequences. When you're tired, your immune system weakens, increasing vulnerability to all those infections I mentioned. You're also more prone to falls and lapses in judgment, like forgetting your wallet in a taxi or not paying attention to traffic signals. A recently published study in late 2022 found that seniors taking long-haul flights of 8 hours or more reported twice the rate of lingering fatigue compared to travelers under 50. The study indicated that hormonal changes in older adults, combined with decreased melatonin production, make time zone adaptation slower. This is not just a matter of being a bit cranky. Chronic sleep loss can spike blood pressure and disrupt glucose levels. No small matter if you already have health concerns. Here's a real-life example. Regina, 72, had always dreamed of seeing Japan's cherry blossoms. She flew from New York to Tokyo, a 14-hour flight plus layovers. Despite feeling wiped out upon arrival, she insisted on going straight from the airport to visit temples and sample street food. 3 days later, she nearly fainted in a crowded marketplace. Her doctor later explained she was suffering from both dehydration and severe jet lag, a double whammy that landed her on bed rest for the rest of the trip. The money she'd spent on tours and experiences went down the drain. If you're planning a long flight, consider stopping halfway to acclimate, or arrive a few days earlier than your main events to let your body adjust. Drink plenty of water, avoid alcohol on the plane, and don't be afraid to schedule an entire day of rest upon arrival. Trust me, pacing yourself can be the key between a blissful vacation and a near medical meltdown. 4. The hidden danger of heat and temperature extremes. We often forget how temperature extremes can wreak havoc on older bodies. Whether you're heading to a tropical beach or a winter wonderland, your body's ability to regulate temperature decreases with age. High heat can cause severe dehydration, heat stroke, and rapid heart rate spikes. Freezing cold can trigger hypothermia, exacerbate arthritis, and strain the cardiovascular system. And guess what? A lot of dreamy destinations boast climates far from the mild weather we might be used to at home. In 2023, the World Health Organization highlighted that seniors are disproportionately affected by heat-related illnesses during travel, especially those with pre-existing heart or lung conditions. Take the example of Clarence, a 75-year-old who traveled to Vietnam during its peak summer season. Unused to the humid heat, he tried to sightsee from morning till evening. By day 2, he was admitted to a hospital with severe heat exhaustion. Fluids, electrolyte replacements, and 4 days of missed adventures later, he was well enough to walk around, but the entire ordeal rattled him. If only he'd scheduled shorter outings and taken frequent breaks in air-conditioned spaces, he might have saved himself the hospital bill and the stress. Colder climates can be equally perilous. Let's say you decide to visit the Swiss Alps in the winter for that postcard-perfect snow. If you have circulation issues or heart disease, adjusting to sub-zero temperatures is not only uncomfortable, it can be downright dangerous. Decreased mobility on icy surfaces often leads to serious falls, something we'll explore more in a moment. The solution? Research average temperatures during the season you're planning to travel. Pack layers, stay hydrated in hot weather, don't wait until you're thirsty, and don't skimp on gear like hats, gloves, and sturdy boots in cold climates. If you already have circulation or respiratory issues, talk to your doctor about how drastically shifting climates might affect you. Often, picking a milder season to visit can make all the difference, turning a potential hazard into an enjoyable, safe experience. 5. Mobility issues and the heightened risk of falls. Let's talk about one of the scariest prospects for many seniors: the dreaded fall. It might seem like a small stumble, but for older travelers, a single misstep can lead to broken bones, hip fractures, or debilitating injuries that might require months of recovery. Strange sidewalks, slippery surfaces by a hotel pool, stepping onto a swaying boat dock. The traveling environment is rife with tripping hazards. Even if you consider yourself spry, don't underestimate the impact of unfamiliar terrain. Cobblestone streets in Europe, narrow staircases in centuries-old buildings, or beach resorts with uneven wooden walkways can challenge your balance in ways you never experience at home. Add in fatigue, dehydration, or a heavy carry-on bag, and you're practically setting up the perfect scenario for a tumble. I remember a story from Jonathan, who was 79 when he took a trip to Greece. Despite being in fairly good shape, he walked a couple of miles each morning at home. He struggled on the steep steps leading to cliffside viewpoints in Santorini. Midway through a scenic hike, he tripped over an uneven stone, fell forward, and fractured his wrist. What followed were hours in a local clinic, weeks in a cast, and a painful flight home. The worst part? He had to cancel the rest of the trip he'd eagerly planned. Many seniors might rely on canes or walkers that are great on flat, predictable surfaces. But traveling adds unpredictability. Ramps that are too steep, sidewalks lacking proper handrails, or even crowded tourist spots where someone might accidentally bump into you. What can you do? First, be honest about your limits. Don't schedule an itinerary that requires miles of walking if that's beyond your physical capability. Rent mobility equipment from reputable providers if you need extra stability. Consider guided tours that cater to seniors, companies that understand the need for frequent rest stops and safer routes. Don't let pride stop you from using a walking stick or cane if it prevents a fall. Trust me, a brief hit to the ego is way better than a permanent injury. 6. Skyrocketing travel costs and insurance surprises. Airfare and hotel prices have surged in 2023 due to increased fuel costs, post-pandemic demand, and inflation. For many seniors on fixed incomes, this is more than a minor inconvenience. It can quickly strain your financial resources, especially if you're traveling to bucket list destinations. But even if you've saved enough for the actual trip, the real danger lies in the unexpected costs. Medical bills, emergency evacuations, or last-minute cancellations. Many older travelers assume their primary health insurance will foot the bill if they end up hospitalized abroad. But more often than not, domestic insurance policies either have limited coverage overseas or none at all. Comprehensive travel insurance can help, but it's notoriously more expensive for those over 70, sometimes shockingly so. And even then, some policies have pre-existing condition clauses or do not fully cover costly services like air ambulances. I spoke to a retiree named Doris, who was stunned when she was quoted nearly 3 times the cost for travel insurance compared to what she'd paid at age 65. Cancellation fees also blindside seniors. If you need to cancel or postpone a trip because of a sudden health issue, you could lose non-refundable deposits on flights, cruises, or accommodations. Seniors often book well in advance to get better prices, but that also leaves a larger window for something to go wrong medically. If you haven't purchased cancel for any reason coverage, which can be pricey and has its own restrictions, you might be out thousands of dollars. Then there's the risk of scams specifically targeting seniors. Fraudsters set up fake booking sites, bogus hotel listings, and phony travel agencies. One 2023 scam wave involved sending seniors emails masquerading as official airline updates, asking them to reconfirm credit card details to finalize reservations. Countless elderly travelers unknowingly surrendered their personal info to criminals. If your budget is tight, think twice about traveling abroad. Look into closer destinations or road trips where you can better control costs and reduce your exposure to medical or financial catastrophes. If international travel is a must, thoroughly research reputable insurance providers. Read the fine print. Does your policy cover pre-existing conditions? Does it allow a full refund for last-minute cancellations due to medical emergencies? Don't rely on assumptions. Ask questions until you have crystal clear answers. 7. Cognitive overload and mental health strain. Here's a hidden risk many of us rarely consider: the mental toll that travel can take. Planning a big trip can be exhausting. Coordinating flights, hotels, tours, visas, currency exchange, local customs, and more. For seniors dealing with mild cognitive impairment, memory issues, or simply the everyday forgetfulness that can come with age, these tasks can become overwhelming. And that's before you even step foot in the airport. Once you're on the move, stressors multiply. Navigating unfamiliar cities, coping with language barriers, deciphering foreign currency, and dealing with potential flight delays or lost luggage. A 2023 survey on senior travel found that 35% of participants aged 70+ reported high levels of anxiety while traveling, compared to just 10% in travelers under 50. That's a significant jump, indicating that older adults often face higher emotional strain. Consider the story of Carolyn, 74, who embarked on a trip to multiple Asian countries. She initially felt confident, having traveled extensively in her youth. But after decades of not going abroad, she found modern airport terminals and digital check-in kiosks confusing. She missed her boarding call at one point because she couldn't figure out the airline's mobile app. Her frustration quickly turned into anxiety, and she spent much of her trip feeling on edge, worried she'd overlooked something important. By the time she returned home, she vowed never to travel alone again. Mental exhaustion can also exacerbate existing conditions like dementia or depression, creating a spiral of confusion that's tough to break. Some seniors find themselves so flustered by new surroundings that they forget to take essential medications on schedule, inadvertently putting their health at risk. Others withdraw socially, missing out on the trip's joyful aspects because the stress overshadows everything else. How can you protect your mental well-being? Simplify your journey. Limit your itinerary to 1 or 2 destinations rather than juggling multiple spots. Use a travel agent experienced in senior travel who can handle the logistics. If you can, bring a travel companion, someone you trust, whether it's a friend, a family member, or a specialized tour operator. Download travel apps ahead of time and practice using them. Make a list of daily tasks and set phone reminders to ensure you don't miss medication times or important appointments. In short, minimize surprises as much as possible.
We've just explored 7 hidden travel risks that seniors over 70 should never ignore. From chronic condition flare-ups to rampant infections, from bone-breaking falls to skyrocketing travel insurance costs, and from mind-numbing fatigue to the emotional strain of complex journeys, the dangers are very real. This isn't meant to terrify you, but to open your eyes to the serious challenges you might face once you step outside your comfortable, well-managed life at home.
Some of you might be thinking, so, are you telling me never to travel again? Not exactly. Travel can be enriching, even transformative, if approached safely. But as we age, the margin for error narrows drastically. A minor inconvenience at 40 can be a full-blown crisis at 75. Before you book that next flight or finalize your cruise itinerary, weigh these risks carefully. Consult your healthcare providers, investigate travel insurance policies in detail, and consider whether your chosen destination truly matches your physical abilities and mental fortitude. Sometimes a closer-to-home trip or a shorter journey might be just as fulfilling, without putting your health and finances on the line. You might discover hidden gems in your own region that you've never bothered to explore. Or, if you decide to go all in on a big international adventure, do it with eyes wide open. Arm yourself with knowledge, plan meticulously, and keep safety at the forefront. Because the goal isn't to scare you away from enjoying life's wonders. It's to ensure that when you do venture out, you come back with joyful memories, not regret, medical bills, or an injury that changes your golden years for the worse. Thank you for sticking with me through this crucial discussion. If you found any of these insights helpful, I'd love to hear about it. Please share one new thing you learned in the comments, and whether it's made you rethink your travel plans. I read every response because your experiences are what keep me motivated to continue sharing mine. If you haven't already, consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell. Your support helps me dig into topics that matter most to our community, topics that can truly impact the quality of life for seniors everywhere. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and remember, a little caution goes a long way, especially after 70.